All right, so this is a suggestion via Discord. The name of the video is Let's Talk About the Montgomery Docks. So this is coming from Beau of the Fifth Column. What's interesting, really quickly, is I just made a video about this. And my opinion apparently is odd, apparently, I guess, right? Based off of some of the responses, at least. So I definitely would like to see also what someone else's opinion. I do trust his opinion. I know that he is, I don't think him and I are like... ideologically like the same type, right? I don't think so, at least. But I loved listening to varying opinions, guys. Absolutely. Let's check it out.
Well, howdy there, Internet people. It's Beau again. So today we are going to talk about Montgomery and the docks and what happened and a whole bunch of questions that came in and a misunderstanding of what something means.
Okay.
Okay, so if you have no idea what I'm talking about...
Oh, no, we know.
Over the weekend, there was an altercation that occurred at the docks there at the river in Montgomery.
Right.
There was a pontoon boat piloted by, looks like a group of white people, and it had docked in a spot where a riverboat is supposed to dock.
I think he's mentioning the color of their skin for one reason. Because the whole world is basically doing that right now.
My understanding is that a dock worker who is black is telling them to move.
We now know that it was the co-captain of the riverboat, right? It was a co-captain.
This prompts an altercation. I have no idea what actually happened, no clue, okay? But what is very visible is a whole bunch of white people beating on this black person. Mm-hmm. And then black people from everywhere started coming to his aid.
Right.
This has prompted a whole lot of questions for everything from, why did they all come to his aid? What about the person who, I guess, jumped off the boat, who, from what I understand, is actually a teen, like a 16-year-old.
Yeah. 16-year-old Aaron.
And I think the one that is most interesting is that on social media, people were saying that, you can't mess around on those docks. And I got a question that said, I don't get it. They said not on those docks, but I've been there. That seemed like a really nice area.
Right. I think where we're going with this is the docks themselves are really like historical. I think the people that are probably saying that know the actual history of the place. But I will not say that all of the people there actually knew the history of that place, right? But for historical reasons, it's a little crazy to do something like that on that dock because, of the history of that area.
It is. It is a nice area. The park nearby is actually really pretty. And incidentally, when that riverboat's there, it's very picturesque.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's walking trails, like through the town, where you can pass all these historic buildings.
Like the warehouse,
to include,
a
warehouse
depot.
and a pen,
and that warehouse, guys. I'm glad he also brought that warehouse up. He's referring to the warehouse that was built in the guys. I'm gonna go ahead and say somewhere around 1820 or 30 or so. Basically, what he's referring to here, the history of it at least, is in 1820 there was roughly 41,000 something XXXX, let's say. There were humans there that were being held in bondage. And then by the year 1860, there were about 410,000 people there being held in bondage. And I think that's the warehouse that he's referring to. The fact that they literally were bringing in so many people in bondage on that port, right? Historically, that they had to basically build a warehouse. That's it, and that's pretty much visible from the port. That was the port that was used, and it's just that's the history of it. But I will not say that this happened because of the history. if that makes any sense, guys. But it makes it egregious, more egregious, because because of the actual history of that very specific location.
The old market and the depot for people.
Yeah,
A market for buying and selling people.
it's one of the
Warehouse
biggest.
and pens for people.
It was one of the biggest outside of West Africa.
Montgomery, Alabama was very
And
central
Jamaica.
to the slave trade. Guess where they came into town? Cotton
On that-
went out,
On that dock,
slaves came
on that
in.
exact port. Yeah,
Black people are saying not on those docks. White people are hearing wrong neighborhood. That's not what they're saying. That's not what they mean. It is unlikely that a group of white people are going to be able to beat a black person in that area in 2023 without eliciting a response. It is hollowed ground. There are markers everywhere explaining where you're at. You know, once, probably every other year, somebody goes on vacation to Europe and they go to a camp and they take a photo that is, they're smiling too much, or they're in a
ooh, yeah,
silly pose.
right, in like Germany. Bro, relax, right? I see where he's. Oh no, I mean, I see how he's tying it together is interesting. He's kind of referring to like whenever they go to these, like the WW2 monuments, right? And people are doing these ridiculous poses in places where it's somewhat solemn, right? I would not say that we have places like that here, but that's what he's going to attempt to tie in. He's going to tie in the fact that there was a history of people being held in bondage, being brought into that on that very specific port. There are literally historical markers everywhere. But let's go.
Something that is not demonstrating the proper amount of reverence.
Right,
And
for
social
the
media
area.
is wild. Those docks, that action, a whole bunch of white people beating on a black guy, that's not something that is going to be taken lightly. I would imagine that at least one of the people who got involved in that was actually walking the trail, because it goes right by there. The pins, I want to say, are like a block and a half away.
Right.
For a region of the country that likes to scream, you know, oh, my heritage, my history, that's why we need to keep this flag. A whole lot of people don't seem to know it. That's the history. What happened in that area.
Wow.
The pins for people.
Right.
The market for people.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they mean by not on those docks. It makes a whole lot more sense now, right?
Yes and no. That's a certain group of people who know the history of what happened there, right? But I cannot honestly tell you that any of the people that were involved, specifically in the aftermath of the first incident, right? We need to break those incidents up into two separate scenarios. Firstly, right? The first incident, I highly doubt that those people even cared about what they were doing. I'm just gonna be honest, bro. I don't think, after now sitting on it for like a day and a half and now realizing that the screenshots that I had posted in my video, at least, right, those are from a spoof account, basically, right? That's a fake account apparently on Facebook, where someone, right after this all happened, they decided to make a Facebook account about Vassar's Mini Mart, right? Now, the fact that that is fake, and that is what the majority of people are basing that on. Like, the only reason why people are saying they're bringing race into the situation is because of those screenshots that we just found out are fake. So now I'm like, bro, I don't like. It's rough. It made it even more rough for me now, right? I'm referring to exclusively the first part of it, right? Knowing that, for example, if I was ever in an issue, right, where things got physical with someone and my sons were with me, I cannot guarantee you that my sons would not also jump into a situation. I don't know how much the other guys, I'm not trying to make excuses here, guys, right? I just try to look at things complete, right? Before, with those screenshots, oh yeah, I didn't care nothing about these individuals. Trust me. I still really don't, because they did flout what people normally would say. You have to comply to the authority, right? You have to comply to authority by all means. You can say nothing, right? This is happening. You have to do this. But then seeing how people are defending them, specifically in my video that has, I don't know, a couple 100,000 views or something right now, right? Looking at it, reading the comments and seeing how people are defending the people that struck first, I don't know if you want those type of people that are responding like that to even back. Like, would you even care what they're backing based off of these absolutely, troubling responses that this video is getting? I don't know, bro.
Now, I would imagine that certainly had something to do with it. I also, from what I understand, a lot of the people who got involved were coworkers of the first person. Mm-hmm. Who got hit. There were a bunch of arrests made. Right. From my understanding at time of filming, there are still 4 warrants out.
Yeah, 4, and they're trying to, the guy that had the chair, right? They want him for questioning. I don't think that he has like a warrant or anything on him. They want him for questioning. They want to make sure that what he did was exactly as heinous as we all kind of thought it was when he did it.
But
not first. Not at first. I'm sure people were laughing. I was absolutely laughing at it at first, guys. Then I was like, "Wait, this is real." It didn't feel real to me when it was happening. If that makes any sense, right? It felt like some scene out of a movie. It just did not feel real. Then after the second watch, I was like, these people are really being pummeled, bro. Then it hit me that it wasn't funny anymore, obviously. I laugh at people falling. I can't help it.
But there are a lot of places in the South that are hallowed ground. They are places where horrible, horrible things happened. And in the South, everybody just kind of moved along and acted like it didn't happen. And by everybody, what I really mean is the governments that were controlled by white people. They didn't set it aside. They didn't put in a new dock. They didn't memorialize it the way things have happened in a lot of other places. So you can really just hang out and have a few drinks
right
on a place at a location that a whole lot of horrible things happened.
Yeah.
So that's when they're saying that, that's what they mean. It's not a bad area. It's not a rough area. They're not saying wrong neighborhood or anything like that. They're saying it's 2023, not 1850. Anyway, it's just a thought. Y'all have a good day.
Guys, I love how he overall delivers. Like, be fully aware, I don't agree with every single thing this man says, right? I think this is probably now like the 4th or 5th video we've seen from him. I do not agree with everything that he says, but I love the fact that he kind of speaks with overall conviction. He means what he says. He's methodical enough. I think that a conversation could easily be had with him kind of regarding any topic, and at least he's going to speak logically and unemotionally and like in or around topics that are extremely touchy. This is what I appreciate about him. Like, seriously, his overall view is interesting. I mean, he went from the angle of hallowed ground, right? I didn't really look at it like that, guys, because I generally don't, unfortunately, right? But I do understand that there are places all over the world that you cannot do crazy things in. America just doesn't have any of these places, specifically if they had anything to do with the trade, right? These are all things that are not, for the most part, hallowed ground. Now, are there historical markers that dictate these things? Yeah. Did those people walk through these things and care about it? No, they didn't care about none of that stuff, bro. Most likely they were extremely intoxicated. And then they saw a guy telling him what to do. They didn't like the fact that he was telling him what to do. But something tells me that the same family would have not done that to a police officer, right? I just think that he thought that he was better than everyone else at that time. That's the kind of attitude I get from him, bro. And the fact and to know that he already had like arrest warrants in his name for something similar is crazy, right? I don't think it started completely with race. I don't think so. Not anymore. Based off of the finding out that those posts are completely fraudulent, right? But I think it divulged into it. I do think that out of anger, there were a lot of words that were being said. And fortunately for them, they were the aggressors in this instance, mainly the people that started it, right? And there's some hate crime charges that seem to be coming based off of some witnesses hearing some words that were being said. So, all right. Listen, you guys all have an absolutely amazing day. Enjoy your day thoroughly. This case is just getting crazier and crazier and crazier, bro.